Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn, and I run the services at MedComms so information, resources, activities, and so on for people who work across the globe in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, and the associated businesses. There's lots of information you'll find at the website, but also the associated website. So if you take a look at NetworkPharma TV, for instance, we've now got more than 600 videos, many of which have come from webinars like this. Also, a shout out to those of you interested in joining MedComms, maybe as a medical writer, account manager, and so on. We've got a resource for you over at firstmedcommsjob.com. And there's more. So go and have a look around. And if I can help any time, obviously, I'd love to hear from you. These webinars are great. We get people from all over the world. We've got a big international audience again today. And I'm delighted we've got Tania and Mario in. From over at in sort of North America, if I can use the general term. Please, I'm really looking forward to this. We're going to have a demo, we're going to have a presentation, talk about the use of Copilot, primarily in medical writing. I guess that's where we're looking at it. But the use of Copilot is absolutely fascinating and offers all sorts of opportunities to people in and around MedComms. But we're going to hopefully look at the good and the bad. So without further ado, Mario, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Peter. It's really a pleasure today to present to you and present to all this fantastic audience. Thank you so much for your response and joining. Okay, let me see. Peter, do you see my screen? So the screen is okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you so much. So let's start. Okay, I'm Mario Morel. I'm the specialist of Copilot and Microsoft 365 services at Foremost Medical Communication. It is a medical writing firm where we specialize in working in collaboration between the medical writers and the clinical researchers to develop and publish manuscripts. Tania?
Hi, I'm Tania. I'm a medical writer. My primary focus in pharma advertising and CME. I have been using generative AI regularly for more than 1 year now. And recently I'm working or partnering with Mario to create publications and started to use Copilot as well. So while Mario is the expert here, I'll try to give an overview from the point of medical writer.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just before we tackle the demo, let's set the stage. The presentation today is specifically about Copilot, which is Microsoft generative AI solution. There are other generative AI. Today, we're just going to focus specifically on Copilot. And why in our firm we chose Copilot? It's because Copilot has a rich set of features that we find are very useful for medical publishing, medical writing, even to help clinical researchers prepare their data and so forth. So Copilot is very complete. Support and maintenance from Microsoft, anyway, in our experience, has been outstanding. Absolutely excellent support. Scalability, Copilot works as well with 1 person, 2, 5, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. It's highly scalable. Ease of deployment. This is all a cloud product. So you basically have nothing to do other than you subscribe and it's being deployed automatically into your tenant. And security. Copilot has a rich set of security features. It will protect your data. A quick disclaimer, doing live demos with generative AI can be kind of tricky. Generative AI are, they are generative. That means they generate new response every time, even if you use the same prompt. So what we do today is live. So we cannot be 100% sure what Copilot's going to tell us today. So let's keep that in mind when we see the answer. In fact, this is part of the demo, see what Copilot can produce for us. With that being said, let's start with our scenario, our first scenario, which is creating titles for an article. Tania?
Okay, so Mario will show you an article. And the reason I chose this one is, so it comes from my master's thesis. I was a part of the team, so I know the work. And when Copilot will give us the response, even though I don't remember the article very well, but I know the work, I can say if it's giving us the right or wrong information. Also, it's very simple work. It tests a novel diagnostic method for typhoid and paratyphoid and compare with two other standard or conventional method, and looks at very common criteria like sensitivity, specificity, and especially if this test can be used in resource poor settings. So remembering this criteria, now we are going to see how Copilot gives us the results with our prompts. So first thing we'll do here, we have just the body of the article without the title and the abstract. We'll just pretend that we just finished writing a draft, and now we need Copilot's help to create a title and abstract, pre-submission letters, everything you will need to do after creating the first draft. That will give us high quality results and will save time. So Mario, you have the prompts. Can you please go ahead?
Yes, okay. This is the prompt. By the way, throughout the demo, I'm going to paste the prompts that we're using in the chat so that everybody can see it. So here, we will open Copilot. We have here the article, and we're gonna use the prompt. I mean, it's as simple as watching what it's doing.
Yeah. While Copilot is looking for titles, Mario asked for 4 titles. I will go through them once they're here, but you can have more specific prompts, like if you know how many words you want, or if you know that these are the keywords you want to see in the title, because that will give you a good search algorithm results, you can mention that put this many words and put these keywords. Okay, we have the titles. Okay.
So what do you think, Tania?
Yes. So Mario and I, we tried this prompt before, and we have had different results. And looking at the results now, that I'll go through at least 1 or 2 of them. The first one, the TPT test, a promising diagnostic tool for enteric fever. Or the second one, overcoming the shortcomings of current enteric fever diagnostics. This is probably not the titles we would want for original articles. In the original articles, we want the title to tell why this article is important or probably part of the significant results. These 2 titles to me looks like more review article title, but now I can work on it and I can ask, include probably the novelty of the article or include the main findings as the form of the title. So at least with this time, the response is not good, but we can play around and then tweak ourselves for what we want. Mario, do you have something to add?
Yes, okay. There is here an additional feature that is important with any generative AI, and especially with Copilot, is the concept of what we call grounding. Large model languages are built in a humongous amount of data. So you have a large language model that knows all the human knowledge, and then we ask a short question. We at times, okay, it would be nice if we can tell the large language model like Copilot, hey, you know all of this, but can you focus on a specific area? That's what we call grounding. And the way that we do this with Copilot is we can attach a document that provides a context to Copilot. Here, for the purpose of creating an article, I have a blog post from Nature of 2020. Basically, what they were saying, how to write a good research paper, and they provide tips. Okay, as you can see, a good title, avoid technology language, and so forth. So what I would like is making sure that when we prompt Copilot for a title, I want Copilot to keep this article in mind. Here it's a Nature article, but in your real life scenario, it could be your own internal guidelines about how to create titles, or it could be a standard that you want to apply. So the way that we do this in Copilot is you attach the article as part of your prompt, and we're going to give it a try here. So here is the new prompt with, okay, that I posting here on the chat, and we're gonna do it for real in our article. And let's see if it's gonna make a difference. So basically we have the same, okay, we have the same prompt, but I have a link to the Nature journal, to the Nature article. So now Copilot will take this article into consideration. Just to let you know, okay, sometimes you can ground the large language, okay, you can ground Copilot. Sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't make a difference. Once again, that's the nature of generative AI. You've got to try different things. And depending on the information that Copilot has about you, about your environment, about your business, you can get more or less of an impact depending on the grounding that you do. And here, this is the new prompts. They might be better, they might not be, but I thought that we would show that to you today. So they look pretty, in this case, they look pretty similar. Yeah. But once again, okay, it's a matter of playing with it. So remember that when you use generative AI, try to learn about grounding. That's a feature that can be important over time. So the next scenario we're gonna see is write abstracts. Tania?
Yeah, we could actually also start with writing the abstract. Maybe the title could then pick up information from the abstract, but I would expect that the information is already in the article, so the title should represent that. So about creating an abstract, we are going to create two different types of abstracts to see if Copilot can make the difference. So one of our prompt would be to create an abstract for publication to a journal, and the other one would be for a poster presentation in a conference. Mario, can we go ahead with the prompt for the journal?
There we are. It's launched.
Yeah, Mario is putting the prompt and we are waiting for the response. We realized that the more, like other generative AIs, the more you break down the prompt, the results are more specific. So instead of saying that create a 250-word abstract, when we break down, give me the background, methodology, principle, etc., the results are more precise. So it's almost there. We've got the background, the methodology. I hope everyone can see this.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy it in the text. It's gonna look a bit bigger. There we are.
Yeah. So the background looks nice. The methodology, it mentions the time of incubation. I think an important part of this article was how little blood it needs, only 500 microliter, which is a big advantage for detecting typhoid in children. So that part is missing from the methodology. The principal findings, it talks about the sensitivity and the specificity, which looks okay, could elaborate more. And the conclusion looks good to me. So compared to the title, I think I'm more satisfied with the abstract.
Excellent.
Can we go ahead with the poster prompt?
Absolutely.
This would be to ask, create an abstract for a poster presentation.
So here, it's going.
I tried giving prompt specifying journals, that write an abstract for this journal or that journal, but what Mario, me, and Noel realized that it cannot yet collect the requirements specified to the journal. So it will give you pretty much the same abstract.
Okay, so here we have an abstract that, according to Copilot, would be better, targeted to a poster presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Was the prompt, Mario, 200 words, 250?
This one was 200.
Okay. So,
and let's see how many words it uses. It uses 144.
okay.
Okay, so it's a bit less than 200 in this case.
Okay, it looks normal, probably for poster presentation. it could be a bit bigger and more information, but it's a good start. That's what I think. It's easier to work on this now. And if you look at the language, that's something we'll go into it later, but I found that the language needs less tweaking in Copilot. It's pretty sound, not promotional, not cliche, not buzzwords. It's professional sounding language.
Okay, excellent. Okay, another use case that that we can have with abstract is, for example, when in your manuscript you do write your abstract. One thing that we have done and we do regularly is with the abstract, we use the abstract alone and we ask Copilot to create a title based on that abstract. Okay, we ask for 5 titles. So the point is, Copilot uses only the abstract, and based on it, it creates one sentence of what it's supposed to mean. This here, if the titles that Copilots come up with are really off track, okay, they don't correspond to what you expect, what you want to communicate in your paper, then that might be a clue for you that your abstract might be missing a key component, might be missing something. And in reverse, if Copilot come up with titles and they sound pretty good, okay, they are, at least they touch the key points of your paper, then your abstract is probably on the right track, is well aligned with your paper. So that's another use case here that, that I know we use in real life. The next scenario, Tania, is rephrasing.
Yeah. About the last scenario, Mario, what you mentioned at last, it's really nice, right? That you don't have to only use AI for writing. It's also strategic thinking and checking how your work is understandable to others or not. So about the rephrasing, Mario, I think pretty much many of us are familiar with generative AI rephrasing what we do. That's probably one of the most frequent use. But here, we have messed up a sentence. It's not really readable, it's not nice, and we will see how Copilot turns this sentence into a readable one. So here, the way it says the bacteria types, this and this, only make humans sick, it's not that how a researcher or scientist would talk. We will see how it's rephrased. While Mario, you can already go ahead with the prompt.
Sure.
I just quickly want to...
It's not a prompt for the rephrasing, okay, is, okay, with Copilot, you have this feature, you can select a text, okay, here it's the entire sentence, but anywhere in a text, you can select a sentence, and there's a little Copilot ear icon right in front of your selection. You click on it, and you can ask, rewrite with Copilot. Then we just trigger it, and Copilot gets to work.
I can actually use that to rewrite abstract in plain language summaries, or tell them write it for physicians, write it for for particular audience with this level of readability. That would save tons of time.
Okay, I'm gonna, oops, sorry about that. Let's try it again. There we are. So here is, it's about to generate the rewrite. Okay, so here, what do we see on the screen here? So Copilot offers the option to replace the text with the one that it generated. We can insert below so that we can compare the two. We can say, here, I don't like that. Okay, here the circle regenerate. And here there is a nice option. You can ask Copilot to redo it, but with a different tone. The default tone in this case is neutral, but we might ask Copilot, hey, redo it professional, casual, imaginative, or concise. So here, I'm just gonna say insert below so that we can compare the two. So Tania, do you think that we made an improvement here?
It's clear we made an improvement. The one called this kind of language, it's gone. But it would be interesting to see, Mario, how the imaginative one turns out. Can we do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another feature is, okay, in this case that if you want different tones to be created at the same time, so instead of doing Copilot, rephrase with one tone, rephrase with another, rephrase another one, you can do them all at once. To do that is better to use the Copilot. Here it's the Copilot chat. Okay, for business, as you can see here at the top right corner, this is protected from, so all the data that I'm going to use it will remain within my business. It doesn't go outside. So because it's protected, then I'm more comfortable to use okay, our actual research data. And here we're just going to have a prompt. Okay, and I'm going to put it here in the chat. And oops, there we are. It's in the chat. And here, okay, just the formatting here. So here, give me 5 different versions of this text, okay, each with a different tone. And then we have the same text than what we had in the previous document. Let's see what Copilot does.
This is really time saving instead of 5 prompts. And the feature you have on Copilot, you can just select the sentence and then ask there directly. This is all like, this is going to make your life easier.
I noticed that for some reason, Copilot is slower today than usual. That's probably because it's still early morning for us here.
It's playing with us because we are in a live demo. Maybe stop responding and rewrite.
Okay, let's try again. Sometimes this happens.
If it doesn't bring anything, I remember how it turned out the last time. I can focus on that.
Okay, this didn't happen. That's live demo. The demo demons are with us. We ran this a dozen times. It always worked. So
Maybe.
what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put it aside. Okay, we're gonna continue to our scenario, Tania. And when it gets the response, I'll just bring it back.
Okay. Fine. Okay. The next scenario, I think writing pre-submission letters, Mario.
We will try that right away. So
okay.
Let me trigger. Okay, pre-submission.
This is, I think, something I'd read it as a researcher, writing this pre-submission letter, convincing someone that my work is good enough. And it took me hours writing the good words that would persuade someone. And now we can use this draft that Mario prepared. We can break down the pre-submission letters and 2 prompts that write me a summary of the work, or give me a paragraph that shows the novelty of the work. And combining these 2, we can create a pre-submission letter in seconds and then tweak it a little bit. So let's go ahead with the first prompt.
Yes. Here, Tania, we're going to use your actual paper. That means with your actual abstracts and title, okay? Mm-hmm. So that we have the real document with it. And we're going to start with the first prompt. And I'm pasting the prompt in the chat. And we're going to come here, enable Copilot, and use the prompt. So write a catchy and convincing 1-paragraph summary that highlights the innovation presented in this document,
Again, you can ask for the tone you want, the word count you want, and we asked to highlight innovations. Probably that's, for this work, at least that was the important thing. So you can focus on whatever you think important to present your article.
There we are. So we're going to copy and paste into our template of a pre-submission letter. Okay, let me try again. There we are. That's better. So I'm going to make it bigger. What do you think, Tania?
Probably I wouldn't write making it a game changer word. So in that case, I would probably ask to rephrase in a more professional tone or academic tone. Yeah, this response for me is too short. I would probably give another prompt to elaborate more. I don't think this is convincing enough. Telling my work groundbreaking and game changer would convince an editor.
And that's the way here today. Okay, it's a live demo, and we're going quickly because we are on a tight schedule. But in real life, what we do sometimes, you have to try 3, 4, 5 different times of different prompts, and usually you can get pretty close to what you're looking for. So here in this example, we would try different adjustment. I know that we did use that prompt during our practice, Tania and I, and at one point it generated something that was very close to what we were looking for. So that's, once again, that's generative AI. It generates something new every time.
And
So,
you use that, Mario, right? For your company, you use Copilot regularly to create.
Every day. We can't live without it anymore. Everything we do, we use Copilot. Here, let's go back to your article, and we're going to ask now for the summary that we will use in the letter. So here we're going to write a 4-paragraph.
Yeah. Okay,
write 4 paragraphs to summarize this paper while highlighting the findings.
Yeah, when we tried just write a 1-page summary, that didn't go very well. So the more we break it down, like write 4 paragraphs, the better the result is. You can even mention what you want to see in which paragraph.
Yeah, that's a good point. It seems that Copilot doesn't understand the concept of what a page is. You know, we ask write a 1-page summary. It's always too short. Okay, it's never enough to fill a page. So this is why we thought, hey, write 4 paragraphs. And okay, we found that this gave us just about the right length. You see, we have nice 4 paragraph. I can copy that. We come back to our template. Let me find, where is our template? Here. And now we're going to go in the page 2 where we insert a 1-page summary. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, and Tania, at first glance, does it look?
It looks good. It looks as good as the abstract. With the range and confidence interval, I think, yeah, it looks good.
Okay, so that means here we have, our letter. It goes without saying, then we would definitely adjust. Once again, anything that you generate with generative AI, you have to have a human going through, reviewing it, and even verifying some of the statement that it might say. They call it artificial intelligence. I think it's more artificial than intelligent. So the human being is still very important. But then once again, this gives us a good start, and it helps. Anyway, in our practice, we generate pre-submission inquiry letters regularly for our clients. It takes about half the time to generate a letter when we have Copilot than when we were doing it manually before.
And
okay, please go ahead.
Mario doesn't know, but I tried some prompts to cheat where I just ask, write me a pre-submission letter. And then starting from the styling and formatting, it does everything for me. And the quality wasn't that bad. So that's something if you want to do.
Before we go to the next scenario, finally, I got an answer from an answer from Copilot of the prompt that we had before. If you remember, rephrasing with 5 tones. So Copilot did actually provide what we're asking for. So formal tone, it came up with this rephrasing. The informative tone, it's as you can see, the style really looks different. There is casual tone. That do sound casual. scientific tone, so it's going to probably be more straightforward, and conversational tone. So here we have our result.
Mario,
go ahead, please.
Can you go to the last one? I think
Sure.
Yeah, the conversational. If you look at how the phrasing is, the nasty bugs called salmonella, what's there else? The awful thing called enteric fever. I feel like if you want to write for an audience, like, you know, some reading with coffee, or for children and for teenagers, like to make science fun, that can be also something we can pick from here.
That's right. Okay, we are now ready for our final scenario. The final scenario, I call it a critique a paper. So basically is once you are really close to your final draft of a manuscript, you can actually ask Copilot to play a role that is a member of your targeted audience, and ask Copilot, okay, playing that role, what do you think or what do you make of my paper? So for example, here in this scenario, we're going to come back to Tania's full article. And the first example is we're going to ask Copilot to play the role of a general practitioner. And I place a prompt there. And I say, okay, if you were an experienced general practitioner, okay, what would you think of that paper? Oh my, sorry about that. I'm gonna stop here. Okay, I didn't copy and paste properly. So let's try again. So if you were an experienced general practitioner, what would you think of this paper? That's one thing we found is generative AI, including Copilot, they seem to be good at playing roles. So we thought that we can exploit that. And in fact, we do this on, in our manuscripts. When we have a manuscript that is about to be completed, part of our QA is we run some scenarios like that. And remarkably, sometimes it came up with things that we did not expect, and it forced us to go back in the manuscript and make some change. So here, I'm going to copy, and for, to help you here, I'm going to paste it into this editor so that it's bigger and we can see together the result. So here is what Copilot tells us as an experienced general practitioner. Tania, do you think that this is what you think a GP would think of your paper?
Well, Mario, none of us here are GP, but I know the first author of the paper, and many of the authors of this paper, they are all doctors, medical doctors, general practitioners. And I think from our conversation that this was why they considered the paper important, that the simplicity of the technique that could be used even in rural parts of Bangladesh.
Excellent. Now we're gonna try a different scenario. We're gonna ask Copilot to play the role of a graduate student, just to see what it's gonna come up with. So here is the prompt. Here's the article. So if you were a graduate student, which opportunities for further research would you gather from this paper? And there we are, it's thinking. Okay, so I'm going to copy that into the other editor so that we can see. Okay. So as a graduate student, so he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think? What do you think, Tania?
Oh, the second one, development of the TPT test as a point of care diagnostic tool. This one is catching my eye because I know we continued with this research. So there were other people in the lab after I left who continued the project. And I think in many clinics in Bangladesh, TPT test is now as a standard test to diagnose typhoid. So I can definitely see number 1 and number 2 to help graduate students come up with ideas. This is a very simple paper. The ideas we are coming up with are very simple, but that's because we wanted to present something that everybody can understand fast.
Our last scenario is, I'm posting the post here, and then we're going to be able to conclude. Okay, so what are the 3 strongest points in this paper that would encourage a pharmaceutical firm to invest in further research? As you can see, those scenarios really help you to get an outsider point of view of the manuscript that you wrote, and it helps you evaluate if your manuscript is written in a way that potentially can reach the audience that you are aiming at. And here it's our last prompt. There we are. So as pharmaceutical, then it came up with those 3 points. Do you think that that's relevant, Tania? You're on mute.
Okay. Yes, to me, I think it summarizes the strengths in a nice way, talking about that it's a reliable diagnostic tool and that the adaptation, again, the resource poor settings, making it a practical option. I think, according to me, these are the convincing points.
Excellent. So we are, okay, let me bring this up. Too many things open. Where is... There we are. Thank you. So thank you. So we're going to share our final thoughts. Tania, one sentence, 2 sentences?
A little bit more than 1 or 2. So Mario is the expert on the technical stuffs, the technical things of Copilot. From my experience, I think since the presentation is about good and not so good of Copilot, if I want to point out the good ones, I think the first one is security. I see in the chat box people are talking about the security, and when I worked with Copilot, I knew that my data remains confidential, my data remains safe, and those data can only be accessed from my account, no one else. So that's, for me, a great advantage. Number 2 is that when I try with it, it came with the references at different times, and I checked the references, they were good. And then it needs less tweaking, that saves time. Sometimes I have noticed that it can be very frustrating how many tweaking or how many prompts you need to give. I felt that it was not that much frustrating with Copilot. It was quite good. And also it's very accommodating. I can have it. Mario couldn't show it because of the time limitation, but we can incorporate it in PowerPoint as well, and it can create slides for you in a matter of seconds. It can create 5-10 slides. About the not so good, I think the graphics, we didn't show yet because it's complicated, the graphics. It needs lots of tweaking, but it helps to give you some idea. You can still, if you have a graphics designer, you can convey a message what you want. And the last thing is, in the Copilot chat, there is a word or character limit. So that was a problem for me sometimes. I couldn't just paste 5,000, 10,000 word article or PDF and ask for responses. For that, we have the alternative. We can put it in Word and do the prompts from there. So from top of my head, that's what I can think of now, the good and not so good.
Oh, thank you so much, Tania. And for my part, very quick points. The good that I really like about Copilot is aware of your business context. Copilot uses, okay, within your Microsoft environment, Copilot uses your emails, your SharePoints, your OneDrive, your Teams, if you use Teams, it uses Teams, your chat there, to really understand your business context and give you answers that are more and more targeted to you. We found that over time, the more we use Copilot, the kind of smarter or the wiser it gets, and it gets better over time. The not so good is we truly have to be frank here. To get the most of Copilot, it is not as easy as Microsoft makes us believe. Okay, when you look at all the advertisement and so forth, we found out with ourselves, it really needs a different way of thinking, a different way of approaching what we're looking for, because we're talking to a machine here. And we had to invest a fair amount of time in trial and error to learn and finally get what we were looking for from Copilot. The future, today we have barely scratched the surface. There is so much more that can be covered over time, and there are so many other use cases. I'm sure that within the medical communication community, we're gonna find over time, and I hope that we're gonna work together and share each other's experience. That's probably the best way to use this technology. Peter, all yours. Thank you so much for the opportunity today.
Okay, thanks. Let's just stop sharing the screen, Mario, and go back to us. I think it's interesting when you watch demos, and it's coming through a little bit from the comments thing. I mean, you know, if you demo exactly the thing that I'm looking for and it works, I go, wow. And if it's not quite what I'm looking for, I go, okay. And medical writers, and I speak as a non-medical writer and in the nicest possible way, a lot of medical writers I talk to have quite strong views and quite different views on how they go about generating content and so on and so forth. So I watch something like that, and I find it fascinating because I'm trying to look beyond what you're showing me and sort of, you know, how might I use this sort of in the future and so on. And I hope that's what people are doing. And also I'm noticing from the comments, there's a lot of talk about different tools and so on. I mean, one of the problems, I speak from my point of view of AI, is, you know, it tends to be, the terminology gets a bit mixed up. You know, someone says AI and they mean ChatGPT, or they say ChatGPT and they mean a different tool, or they Copilot and they suddenly go, actually, we're not talking about Copilot anymore. And the conversations are quite difficult. So I think I just think, and seeing some of the comments in the discussion, I think importantly with discussions like this, we need to think a bit about what we're talking about and look at these as views and snapshots on what's possible. And frankly, you know, a year ago, we'd have had a very different discussion. What's the discussion going to be like in another year? That's what fascinates me as people play with these tools. So anyway, having said that, and we haven't got that long, Mario, maybe you can say a little bit more about the confidentiality, the security and so on, because there's a lot of comments about that, a lot of concerns. You know, can we use confidential client data, unpublished data and so on? And I think you've touched on it, but Mario, can you just specifically address that in the Copilot sort of environment? Is it as simple as I would like to think it is, that data, and I think, Tania, you said this, so just Mario, reassure us, if I'm using Copilot on my machine, is the data going anywhere?
We have to make something absolutely clear here, okay? Copilot comes in many flavors. There is a free Copilot that comes with Bing that anybody can go there and use. This is not confidential. It's public, okay? You can ask for movies and movies critic and all that. Do not use anything sensitive, okay? It's out there and anybody can use it. What we shown today is Copilot for Microsoft 365. That means that you must have a Microsoft business license. And on top of the business license, you can purchase the add-on. The Copilot is an add-on. This one is confidential because it only works, it keeps everything within your Microsoft account. Not even Microsoft themselves can see what you have inside your own account. Okay, so there, everything that we shown today was from within our actual Microsoft, company Microsoft account. So when you are within a Microsoft account, I've read very carefully all the privacy statement of Microsoft and so forth. Basically, Copilot falls within the overall Microsoft privacy commitment to business users. Once again, a keyword, to business users, not to individuals, but to business users. It applies all the privacy rule, confidential rules that applies to your location. For example, in Europe, there are additional protection for users in Europe. For example, none of the data that is stored within your Microsoft account will leave the EU, because now it's a regulation. So in terms of security, if you have a business account and you have purchased the Copilot add-on, then we feel totally comfortable using our sensitive information for our work.
Okay, and again, I'm being a bit specific here because I think we need to restrict the conversation a little bit. If I'm an individual, let's keep it down to an individual use rather than a team or something. Okay, I'm an individual with my business license and so on, and I've got this set up on my computer. One of the things I think you didn't really talk about very much today, I don't think, but I've heard you talk about before, is and I can't remember the terminology, but I can build a library of content on my machine. I can take those journal requirements and so on, put it into my library, and Copilot will increasingly become more and more effective for me by using my own library of content. I mean, am I oversimplifying, or am I misdirecting anybody? But that's the idea, isn't it?
You're right on. Okay, Copilot will use, you as a user like me today, I'm Mario. Okay, I'm logged into Copilot as Mario. So Copilot has produced the prompts today with the information within my Microsoft environment that I have access. Okay, Mario does not have access to Tania's content, and Tania does not have access to Mario's content.
Okay.
But we have, in our company, we have created a shared repository, a shared library that both Tania, me, Noel, and all of our medical writers that are working with us all share. So that means that in this library, whenever you use Copilot, whatever is in this library becomes available to Copilot to prepare a response. What we insert in this, for example, what we have in the library, we have over 10 years of EMOA journal, the EMOA journal newsletter, the quarterly letter. We have a copy of them all in our library. The AMWA, the American Medical Writing Association, we have all of their journal into our repository. And basically all the standard, we have Equator, okay, all the standards, all the checklists that relates to medical writing are all within this repository, so that the more we add over time, we keep adding all the time, the more we add, the smarter Copilot becomes for us.
So look, I'm trying to keep up with the questions and comments coming in. I know we're not going to get to everybody. Okay, so I'm curtailing a little bit, but let's take Sarah's specific point. Seraphina's just come in. Mario, do you ask your clients for permission to put their data into Copilot? Let's just have some specific practical details here. I mean, and then there's a number of comments about how clients are saying do not use AI, or comments around how do we talk to our clients and so on about what we're doing and so forth. Let's just take Sarah's specific question then. Do you ask your clients for permission to put data into Copilot?
Definitely, we're totally upfront with it.
You'd always do that.
I mean, always do that. And
there's a line there, isn't there, between you using this as just your tool. I mean, you don't ask a client whether you're going to, whether I can take your data and use Microsoft Word or something, do you? So, where is the line between talking to a client about, using data or content in Copilot versus just getting on and doing the job? I don't know whether I don't understand that. People worry about it a lot, but I don't understand it.
And that's a very good point. I'm really glad that you bring this as a question. The audience bring this as a question. In fact, probably even Tania could add a little bit. Okay. When it's rephrase a sentence, or check for spelling, or give me more information about this medical field because I need to learn more. I'm writing a manuscript for a client, then this is just my tool. When you actually use the content of, like today, create an abstract based on the manuscript. Those are the things that we are upfront with the client. Hey, this is what we're going to use. This is how we're going to use the technology. And we have a very strong security and privacy statement. And we explain that, okay, we are fully licensed business user of Microsoft. With Copilot, your data won't go anywhere. At this point in time, we have had no client that had objections. Okay, in fact, when they see that, hey, your manuscript will be able to do our work faster, it might actually be a better quality over time, and it's gonna, okay, you're gonna save money. Usually they say yes. Okay. However, one thing that we're sure is all our clients that we do that kind of work, we create an account for them into our Microsoft business account. They have an account, our client, and we keep all of their data within their account. And when the contract, when the engagement is over, then, okay, then they ask us maybe after 3 months or after 6 months, please delete everything. Then we delete their account and everything is gone.
Okay.
And
again,
you have
one of
something
the,
else? I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, oh, sorry. All I was going to say, just while I've got the thought in my mind, sorry, is, you know, there's a lot within the sort of circles that we work in, and MedComms and medical writers and these sorts of discussions, there's always a concern about confidentiality and confidential data. And I get that. But what I do say back to people is, you know, let's think about the times when it's not confidential, and let's have a play with this. You know, if you've got a published paper and you want to summarize or you want to represent or something, there is no confidentiality problem. You know, there are lots of things that we do actually where confidentiality isn't an issue. So let's not just dwell on we can't do anything because the client's data is confidential, because a lot of our work it doesn't apply to. I just think sometimes we just need to remind ourselves a little bit, because if we get trapped in that we can do nothing, then we're going to do nothing. It frustrates me. Sorry, that's me getting frustrated. Tania, sorry, I cut across you.
Just
Tania,
before that,
okay.
Peter, just to highlight a very important point there, when you talk about confidentiality and all that, okay, I'm aware of, okay, some freelancers that they're working on the family laptop, okay, or family computer to work on clients' documents. Don't tell me that they have as good of a security as a Microsoft account. No way in the world, okay? Microsoft invests $25 billion in security every year. There is absolutely no way that somebody working on a family laptop at home has as much security, and yet they have clients' manuscript on their machines. That I find is a much stronger security risk than, okay, working within your Microsoft account in the cloud with the entire Microsoft security. So we have to keep that into perspective too.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yes, certainly. Sorry, I'm going to ask, sorry, Tania, we're going to have to stop. Tania, I'm going to ask a specific question. Just use an example. It's anonymous, actually, that's asking the question. But just sort of like, I'm trying to visualize or imagine this. You, using your tools and all the rest of it, you prepared a paper for the Lancet or something, I don't know. And it's all very carefully done to their style and regulations and all that. And then you've been rejected. And you and the client are going, we want to represent this to a different journal. In principle, can I imagine going back to my Copilot setup and going, right, okay, here's our manuscript. Here are the journal requirements as an extra document for this other journal. Put it back into Copilot and come back with the revised manuscript. Am I being oversimplistic at the moment? Am I being over imagining? But actually, that is what we're on the verge of that, aren't we? I mean, it could be as simple as that, couldn't it? Do you imagine that, or am I oversimplifying it?
So Mario, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I know Noel has been using it, has tried it particularly for this purpose, and no, Copilot doesn't read the particular journal style and formatting and the wording, and just in a click can adapt my current content according to the new one.
Sorry, so can I just cut across there? Because I can understand why it might not go out and find that. But can I just be clear? What I'm thinking is I've got the document that is the journal requirements. So I'm putting it into my Copilot, like in the case. So I'm giving Copilot the requirements. That's the specific scenario I'm thinking about.
And maybe we can use it as a reference guide. The reference file you showed in the demo, Mario, what do you think?
We've tried it. and the result is mixed. Okay, so Copilot is not doesn't go to the point where it can actually rearrange a manuscript to apply to a specific set of requirements. The way that we have approached it is, okay, we read, as the human, we read the requirements, and let's say that, okay, as an example, let's say that convert American English to British English. This is the kind that Copilot can help with. But if we say here is the standard of journal ABC, apply them all in the paper, it wouldn't do that. Not yet, anyway.
Well, again, that's what I'm trying to feel is okay, maybe not today, but I get the sense that it's only just a little bit further down the line. But am I being a little bit oversimplistic?
No, I think that this is exactly where Microsoft wants to go. Okay, and we're seeing it with other Copilot projects that we haven't showed today. But Microsoft is about to release Copilot for security in April 1st. It will be in general release. Me, as a security person, I'm extremely excited about it. The Copilot for security will be able to do something very similar than what you claim there, okay, where we have a security incident, we say, hey, Copilot, okay, just with English language, okay, you describe what you want, and Copilot will write in security, we have a language called Costo, okay? Copilot will write your a query in Costo based on your description, following all the Costo standard and the Costo structure, which is the equivalent of a journal requirement, okay, and run it for you and give us, the security professionals, give us the result. So if it's coming with security, eventually it's gonna come up with, okay, the entire suite of Copilots. So in 1 year, that would be interesting to have that same discussion.
Okay. Look, we are over time, and I'm absolutely fascinated, and I think we're probably not answering all the questions. I get that, but we're collecting them all. We're looking at them all. You know, we'll have you back in a year's time, but frankly, we'll have you back sooner than that, and maybe take some of these different issues a little bit further. I think this sort of an opportunity to see this being demonstrated is really very useful. So thank you so much for joining in. I'm sure we've given people at least food for thought. I will say, I know I can speak on your behalves, Tania and Mario, you're very happy for people to be contacting you and following up. LinkedIn is an easy way of doing it. I would just make the plea to everybody, let's keep as much discussion as we can, as open as we can. And from my point of view and a MedComms point of view, use hashtag MedComms and share your thoughts and your own experiences. So thank you so much, everybody. We are over time, so I'm just going to stop the video, say goodbye to everybody. And wish you all a good day, but take care. A little wave from everybody, and we'll say goodbye now. Okay, bye-bye.